Oh, welcome to the Knowledge Drop. People at Dyzee
Yeah.
Supernatural's crew. That's
Again.
what's up. We're here in China, judging battles. In between battles, why not catch up and talk some shit?
Yeah.
2-on-2 battles done, 300 dancers. Crew's about to go down. What do we
Crazy.
expect today?
Oh man, we expect to stab ourselves in the eyes.
We
Because
expect a headache, maybe.
long,
maybe.
But
We'll see.
I'm impressed. I think China's gotten to. I personally think they got to a new level, compared to how it was before, because they've got a lot of support, right? Like the government is supporting because of the Olympics. So I think there's a net positive in that aspect, right?
Yeah, that's pretty wild. It's 2 weeks after the Olympics, and we've seen the results. We're in South China. I've never been in this part of China before, and there's a lot of dancers I've never seen before. A lot of them came up to me like, "Yo, I'm inspired by your work and whatever."
Yeah.
Started because of your tutorials and such. So it's a small world these days, isn't it?
Yeah,
Crazy, man.
amazing.
Okay, tomorrow final battles and such. What do you think is going to be the change after the Olympics is done? We're moving on to the Olympic
Post-Olympics.
time now. What do you expect from this year?
Oh man. Well, I mean, there's still a lot of hype and a lot of talk about breaking, right? Like, of course, there's the negative and there's the positive. There's positive, right? The positive side of it is that there's people talking about it, and I believe that there are people who are interested, right? There's going to be initial interest and push into it. Like it's been like this in the past too. In Korea, when breaking exploded in Korea, in the 80s, breaking exploded in the 80s. I remember in 82, 83, I was just 3 years old, but I still vividly remember seeing breaking everywhere, like on the streets, mainly on the
wild.
streets and stuff like that. So I still remember
You've
that.
seen two waves.
Yeah, I've seen both waves. I've seen breaking really come back from the dead, right? So it's like when I talk about things, it's because I've seen it happen before, right? So yeah.
And the
So-
Korean wave was kind of isolated. It happened in Korea,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like that in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So you've witnessed that and compare. You've seen how the scene develops from when it kind of quiets down.
Exactly, and I've seen also like how the two mainstream deaths, like I've seen it explode and then all of a sudden completely vanish, like in 86, 87, and then I saw it slowly coming back in underground in the 90s when I was already a teenager. So I saw that it came back, and then and then I moved to Korea at the height of breaking, and then I was able to talk to the fan base, and see why they stopped being fans. Because I moved to Korea because I was genuinely curious, like, why am I struggling in Canada at that time, being like the #1 b-boy, judging competitions, traveling, battling, doing the entire b-boy hustle, which we all know that grind, like we all know what that entails, right? And still not being able to make ends meet, going into credit card debt, trying to pay groceries, gas, and all that kind of stuff.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, but looking at Korea and seeing how the crews have their fans and they have their own studios and all that kind of stuff, right? And so I kind of was like, okay, what's going on here? So I actually talked to the fans, and I saw that breaking can have fans. They can have a good life, but at the same time, it's got to be something we got to do in order to prevent it from dying. You know what I mean? And so one of the things that they were saying is that when I talked to the actual fan base is that they were really frustrated about judging, right? Like because what's happening with these people is they're watching battles, the fans, and for example, they like gamblers, right? And gamblers is like the power move guys, right? And then they see gamblers lose, and so they're like, why did they lose? They really believe they won, right? And so there's no one there to explain to them, and then they hear from the grapevine, oh, it's because they didn't have a foundation, right? So they're like, okay, fine, right? So it's about who dances better. So they see them battle a crew like Rivers, and then another time they win, and they're like, wait a minute, the other crew had better foundation, but why this time when they realize that it's very subjective, they kind of think like this is bull, right? Like, you know what I mean? And so they stop being fans of stop watching. So that's the reason why I was so into like saying, okay, we got to make an objective system, something to keep them, respecting the culture. And so I think that's kind of like the situation right now, because if you look at Olympics, a lot of people are saying, and they're trying, I don't listen to the trolls, right? Because trolls are just hating, right? Like, you don't need to listen to them. But then there's people out there that are like, respectfully, this is what I really think. And there's like, breaking doesn't belong in the Olympics, you know what I mean? and they give their reasons why, right? And they say it's because it's subjective. So I think we have work to do, right? It's not. I think it's a positive that it went to the Olympics, but we still have work to do, and so we have to build off the hype that there is right now. There's a lot of interest, there's investors, and there's something that I think is coming back a lot, right? And I'm sure you must have know a lot of these people, right? Like back in our days, there was a lot of B-boys that, and B-girls and everyone that got into breaking, and they were like 100% about it, right? And then they grow up and life happens. You have kids, and we have kids, so we know what that's like. Like you're trying to support for your family, you're not just living day by day. So these people have left breaking, but they still kind of like look around and stick around, and then they've done work, they got jobs, they did businesses, and now they have money, and they're coming back into breaking, and they're looking for something to invest in breaking. They want to give back, but they don't know what it is yet, right? So breaking is kind of moving in that direction, and I think that we have to kind of come together now. Now it's the time to stop like fighting over the little things that we've already fought about. We're all mature now, and so we have to come together and say, okay, let's build something sustainable. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion, right? Like no one has all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but a lot of us have pieces of the pie, and we can say, okay, what do you know? How's things working in your city? How's things working for you? You got a studio and a club. We have clubs in Taiwan. Like, how can we share some information where we can all survive it? Like we can't think like how we did back in the day where we're like, man, I have this event. I want my event to be the best event in the world and smash everyone else's event. Like we can't think like that anymore. You know what I mean? Like we got to change.
I want to be the best. Fuck everybody else. I'm better than everybody over here. It's not how it works no more.
Yeah.
You're right. We got lawyers, we got doctors, we got investors in the scene who also break.
Yeah.
So it's a different time compared to when we was coming up.
Yeah.
It's wild, man. Can you explain slightly about how does the plan work in Taiwan right now? The club approach into running a school or studio or crew.
Yeah. Well, so the situation. Okay. So as you know, I lived in Korea for like almost 10 years. And I just wanted to study the industry, the breaking industry. And I learned that there is money in breaking, right? There's money that moves in and out of but just not for the B-boys, right? Like just not for the breakers. And so I realized that, hey, if we just take what the good organizers do, and we kind of like teach breakers how to kind of have their own businesses and run their own thing, more of us can live from it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the goal. Like my big question moving to Korea was, why can't we live from breaking, right? Why can't we? And so now we're starting to look. Of course, we see the Olympics, the people who are in the Olympics, the B-boys and B-girls Olympics, they're making some money, right? Mm-hmm. And then you see Red Bull All-Stars, they're making some money too, right? But that's like a handful of people, right? That's a handful. So how can we do it, like for everybody, and then build something of our own? And so I took what I knew from R16. And we went to Taiwan, and I worked with this one crew called Dream Runners, right? These are like my boys, who have been like coaching and helping for a long time. And I've seen them around. I've seen them really come up from, and there's a mosquito, right? And I've seen them come up, and we kind of like, there's 3 parts to the plan, right? And one part of the plan is we need to have a marketing arm to turn B-boys into celebrities. Right? Like, to build a fan base. Just like every celebrity culture out there, whether it's basketball, football, boy bands, singers, movie stars, you need an audience, right? And this audience has to follow you, right? Because right now what's happening in breaking, it's kind of, so imagine, let's take like any industry out there, like, let's just say skateboarding, right? Like, imagine skateboarding, we're like, okay, we're gonna get all the best skateboarders, and we'll just only do competitions, and we'll only pay one person that wins, right? Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of like how our culture is, and it's not a sustainable method, right? So we have to figure out a way that we can make money living in our own cities, and so we kind of followed the sports model, right? Like, where the team will market the team to the city, and then have them battle against other cities and stuff like that, right? And the second part of the plan is to make a home base, and it's not like a studio, right? Because studios are hard to make a living, right? You have a studio, right? So it's kind of hard to sell classes, right? It's not easy. So a different model would be to turn your studio, and there's a lot of people who have schools, right? But I talk to a lot of people who have schools, and it's not easy. It's not an easy model. But there's another way, is to turn it into kind of like a breaking club where you do sell classes, but you also kind of make it like a gym membership or a sports membership where people pay a monthly membership and they can all just hang out there, practice all day. But for certain people who want to have classes or coaches, then they pay extra for coaches and classes. And then people who would want to join this inner city league, they can pay to do the inner league. Same thing with basketball, right? Like if you join a basketball league or a football league, you got to pay. Your team pays for the league, right? And then you have to. So it's the same thing. It's kind of like all encompassing, right? So that's basically what we're doing in Taiwan, and it did so well in our city, Chiayi, that we said, let's open it up in another city, Taipei. And then we did it in Taipei. It did so well, and we kept opening it up in other cities. And so now, actually, I keep saying we, but I'm a part owner, but they're the ones who actually did all the work, right? Like, they're like 10 of them. They all kind of took a different part from social media to operations to everything, and the whole crew kind of did that, right? So I can't really say I can't take any credit for the work, because they actually did doing the execution of business is actually the hardest part, right? So they kind of ran it, and now we have 6 breaking clubs. Yeah. So
Wow. Okay. So it
Yeah.
seems like it's scalable. You
It's
thought about other
scalable.
countries as well with the model?
Well, there's one in China actually. I can't remember what city. I'm really bad. I've
It's
never been
already
there.
6. You're losing count.
Yeah, I haven't been there because I've been busy on other things as well.
Yeah.
But the main dream is that, like, it's kind of like, back in the day, I know a lot of younger b-boys may have not experienced this, but I feel like I've seen all the, we went through so many different phases in breaking. But the best phase that I remember is when you have your crew from your city, and there's another crew from another city, and then you meet each other and you just like battle like for like an hour, and like it's just like that's the best memories. Like the best essence is that where everyone is kind of like in your crew has got a different thing that you bring to the table, right? Like one guy's got the head spins, one guy's got the like you have a overall crew style, and it's dope, right? Like and we kind of want to bring that kind of back, right? Like where it's not always a competition, where it's like, of course we want that to still stick around because it brings the community together to those things, but we need to kind of come up with something else, which is kind of like, yeah, like it'd be dope to have like for example, like a Seoul Jinjo coming down to Helsinki Flomo, you know what I mean? And just build a fan base and say, okay, let's battle for an hour to really prove who's the best. And we'll break it up into like 10-minute battles, and the first one to win three 10-minute battles is the winner. Together, we're gonna choose the judges together, so it's fair. We can't complain who's the judges, and yeah, let's do this, and we'll just talk all the trash about our history and stuff, and just really hype it up, and we'll just go at it. And at the end, we'll really know who won, because after you battle for like an hour, you really know who won, right? Like a 5-10-minute battle in a competition, yeah, that's 10 minutes. But an actual full-out battle to the finish, that's how you really know who won. And I feel like we need to go back to that someday, somehow, right? But it's going to take a lot of work for us to organize that, and you know what I mean? So I believe breaking clubs and businesses, break entrepreneurs, that's going to be the heart of it in the future, right? So we need more people to be doing that, to be making podcasts, to be making events and making brands, and just things that really come from the culture, you know what I mean? Keeping
Hey, SmackDown.
keeping the culture alive, you know what I mean? Like
That's wild.
Yeah.
I remember before we started the studio, being super inspired, coming to Asia a lot.
Yeah.
Going to Korea and seeing like, okay, TRP has their own studio. Later
Yeah.
on, Jinjo have got their own spot. They have a museum for the trophies. I'm like, wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
Going to China, to different cities, I'm like, everybody have their own studios, man. Doing a tour in Taiwan, and every city, the crews have their own studios.
Yeah.
I go back home, I'm like, I'm teaching for a show dance school. I'm teaching for a ballet school. It's not how it works, guys.
Yeah.
You gotta make a change. So
Yeah.
again, like, man, with the passion and the vision, hopefully this comes into fruition one day. Who knows?
Yeah, well, I think the next step right now is we need to come up with every industry has their own business conference, right? We need a breaking business conference where where we can all just share some ideas and figure out how to work together, network, and just people can just talk about what they do and how they make a living, so that other b-boys can, for example, right? Like Flea Rock is he does street shows, right? And there's some New York hitters, they do street shows. It'd be nice if one of them could do a talk about how they do it, how much money they make, just learning about the industry, so more people, you know, we can build our industry. You know what I mean? People can make a living, right? Something we don't have. And so I'm hoping that a lot of us are discussing it. We've discussed it too, and I think that, you know, hopefully in the future, like you could talk more about B-Boy Dojo and how that works, and yeah, it would be
now
really
everybody
awesome.
does the same mistakes one by one.
Yeah.
So you don't have to learn
Yeah.
by mistakes, man.
Yeah,
We need a
it-
mastermind to get everybody, all the entrepreneurs within the breaking realm to
Yeah,
come together.
yeah.
You're right.
And it's like, why, if I wanted to do something like that, why reinvent the wheel? If I have an idea, I can actually say, hey, I want to do something like you do, like make other people an offer, right? Like why do we have to compete with each other when we can actually discuss first and see if we can work together on things as well, right? So
yeah, that's big. For the people who don't know, tell us what you're wearing right now as far as kicks.
Oh, of course, I had to get into. I'm the guy that, you know, I kind of look at what our culture needs, and then if the opportunity comes up, I kind of grasp it. I take it, right? So I made the first shoe for breaking, and I know Nike made one too, right? But the difference is that I'll be here long after all the big corporations leave. You know, we'll still be here. We'll still be trying. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and so. Yeah, and my goal is not for me to have my own kicks. My actual goal is to allow all b-boys, like the legends, to have their own shoes. You know what I mean? So that's my main goal for the future. So we'll be working on it. We've talked about it before. One day we'll get there. You know what I mean? So, you know, we're in this for the long run. So yeah.
Wow. So yeah, we're not done with breaking, even though the Olympics is in the past. LA might not happen. Who knows if Australia is gonna happen? But now it's about the individuals coming together and actually making our own future, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. That's where we're at right now, and it's awesome, man. It's really awesome to see how we're all coming together. You know what I mean? I wish that a lot of the '80s b-boys could do that. You know what I mean? But they're still kind of like beefing with each other sometimes. You know, so we'll see. You know.
Cool, man. We got some judging to do, so let's get back to judging some crew battles. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in. Head out to bboydojo.com. Get my free footwork workshop, y'all. Peace.